tutti, buonasera, buongiorno, come state? Come state? Bellissimo vedervi. Apologies for being late. I actually had a different time on my calendar. I don't know how it happened, but I'm here. Siamo qui. Please type in the chat whether you can hear me and see me okay. And we'll get started with an exercise to practice your pronunciation. Now, this is going to be really, really cool, and we're going to do it again on Thursday. But let's first do it today. Also, on, when is it? Tomorrow we're doing a live dictation, so that's going to be an interesting exercise. I want you to come here with pen and paper tomorrow. We'll do a live dictation, and then on Wednesday we'll do, amazing, live shadowing. So I will get you to shadow my pronunciation as I speak Italian. You will see what I'm saying, and then I will get you to shadow what I'm saying the way I'm saying. It's going to be really cool, but today it's a little bit more simple. So it's a pronunciation exercise. So let me get started. This lesson is in English. It's for complete beginners, but it doesn't mean that an intermediate student cannot practice this, because Italian pronunciation is, on one hand, very easy. It's one of the easiest pronunciations in terms of languages, but it's very tricky because it's not always obvious how to stress a word. So it's not easy, basically, but it is easy in a certain way, but we're going to try and work it together. So I will keep an eye on your messages, but the main thing is that I get to explain what I need to explain before we start practicing. Very simple. We're in the middle of a storm. Hopefully we won't lose power. If that happens, apologies. I have no control over the power. Allora, ragazzi, main thing when you're pronouncing Italian, I know you've heard me say it a million times, but I'm going to say it again. You have to focus on the vowels. I don't care how difficult a consonant is. Italians won't really care that much if your R is not strong. There are Italians with what we call a French R, and there are Italians with no R. So don't worry too much about stuff like that. What you must get right in Italian is those 5 sounds there. I will get you to repeat them. I know you probably know this, but please repeat after me. We want to be sure that your 5 vowels are very open, and you could stretch them out as long as you wanted. You can't do the same for English vowels, for example, but for Italian vowels you can. So A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. So they go from A, it's very throat. A, E, I, it's like here. O is in the mouth, and U, you round it, okay? So you want to make sure that all your vowels are as open as that whenever you see them in a word. But there's a little complication, because in Italian we actually have 2 versions of the E vowel and the O vowel. So you end up with 7 sounds, which is still great compared to English when you have up to 21 for vowels. So basically you have A, E, I, O, U, but E also exists in the open version, which usually is represented with an accent like that, the second E that you see. It's A, E, I, O, U. I know it's probably I'm losing you with this, but don't. Okay, I'll do it again. So the standard version is A, E, I, O, U. So the E that we say is the closed version. When we say A, E, I, O, we say the open O, and then U. A, E, I, O, U. Well, but we need to add 2 more sounds. So it's A, E, as in egg. O, which is a standard O. O, oh my god, O, and then U. Okay, so these are the 7 sounds that you want to have every time you have a word. So we're good with this. Now let's see the first word. The way it's going to work is I get you to say it first. Say it out loud, please. I can't hear you, but pretend that I can. And then I will say it, and I will discuss the potential common problems if a word tends to have common problem. Otherwise, just move on. Okay, what's this word? It means husband. But how is it pronounced? You say it first. Perfetto. Allora, il marito. Il marito. Ripeti? Il marito. Il marito. Now, this word doesn't usually pose a lot of problems, although it has an R. But that's because it's a weak R that is between two vowels, so it's going to be marito. It's not a very strong R, so you don't have to worry about the R even if you want it. Okay? Il marito. Il marito. Now, this one is also, the stress of the word actually falls where you usually want it to fall, which is in the middle syllable. So this one you should always get right. But let's see if it gets more difficult. You know this one. It's the window. Please say it in Italian. Ok? La finestra. La finestra. Again, this one has a difficult series of sounds like S-T-R-A, stra. Now, the problem with some English speakers is that stra doesn't come out that easily in some English versions. For example, I'm thinking about people around me. When we say Australia, it's Australia. In Italian, it doesn't ever, okay? So don't be tempted to say finestra. You want to have finesse. Imagine you're saying finesse. Finesse is a word. It's a French word that we have in English. Finesse, and then you attach tra. Now this one is a tricky sound, and actually I have 2 videos on YouTube that are taken from my course on Italian pronunciation that will help you getting the tr and stuff like that. So, finestra. In terms of stress, this one not a problem because, again, the stress is where you want it to be, which is in the middle. Ok, new word, nuova parola. Butterfly. You say it. Oops. Benissimo. La farfalla. La farfalla. La farfalla. Problem here could be, and this could happen with every word that you pronounce, that sometimes you want to pause after the article. So you might say la farfalla. You never pause between an article and the word because, well, you wouldn't do that in your language, right? So you say the butterfly. So la farfalla. It has to sound like one word. La farfalla. Can you hear how the a is the same every time? Farfalla. That is how people are going to understand you clearly when you speak Italian. It's the vowels. That's the secret to being understood in Italian. La farfalla. La farfalla. Perfetto. Here you may have a problem with the double la. The way you do a double sound in Italian is, drum roll. I don't have it here ready, but the way you do a double sound in Italian is always by pausing, stretching the vowel before the double sound and doing a little pick. So it's like la farfa, and then you pause, and then you just fall down. Okay, so that's how you do a double. So it's la farfa, la. So there is a micro pause right before the double sound. That is how you're going to make a double sound in Italian. La farfalla. Now, obviously, you have to put a little bit more effort to make the double sound as well. So it's not la farfa, la, it's la farfalla. You want to have the double l, obviously. Okay. It's getting more difficult because I'm getting longer sentences or phrases. Mineral water, you say it first. I have a drink of mineral water. Excuse me, that didn't it didn't work. Excuse me. Okay. I'll say it. L'acqua minerale. L'acqua minerale. Ripeti? L'acqua minerale. L'acqua minerale. So 2 words. L'acqua, 1 word, even though it's actually an article and a word, it doesn't matter, it sounds like 1 word. L'acqua minerale. Perfetto, bene. the emergency exit. This one is a little tricky. Ok. L'uscita d'emergenza. L'uscita d'emergenza. L'uscita d'emergenza. You say it now? Benissimo. So 2 words. L'uscita, the exit, and then d'emergenza, of emergency. 2 words. I call it words because we put them together, okay? L'uscita, tough one, I know, Vanessa. This one is tough for a number of reasons. SCI. In Italian, that sound is she. She, almost like the subject she, as in she is, okay? So she, just make it sound more Italian. L'uscita, uscita, uscita. The problem is also with the next word, though, because English speakers don't really like Italian Z. Let's say it. Because you never know which way to pronounce it. L'uscita d'emergenza. Sa. So this one, l'uscita d'emergenza. It's like you're saying ts, ts. L'uscita d'emergenza. Now, in another context, another word, Italian S could sound za. So Z in Italian sounds either ts or z. In this case, most Italians will say uscita d'emergenza. They won't say uscita d'emergenza. Actually, nobody would say that. Sometimes you can't tell. But what I ask you to do, to not do, please, is to pronounce Italian Z like an English Z. Or Z, sorry. Depends how you say it. Okay, Alina, Manu, a question. Sometimes the Z in emergenza sound like S, but I was convinced that it should always, it never sounds S, like I said. So Italian Z never sounds Z. That's actually the Italian S that sounds Z. But Italian Z or Z sounds either Z or Z. So in this case, we're going to say uscita d'emergenza. Perfetto. Next one. Grazie Alina per la domanda. Thank you for the question. Apologies for my coughing. I wasn't expecting that. Have you said it? This means it's the word for liberation. All right, okay. La liberazione. La liberazione. I gave you another zeta to test you. La liberazione. La liberazione. Italian words that end with zione sound zione all the time, okay? La liberazione. Not la liberazione and not la liberazione. Okay, Amira, so in Italian it's always a Z? What is? Sorry. Phrase it again. But see, la liberazione is the liberation. Ooh, the anecdote. First of all, probably first time you've seen this word, but I'm sure you would have understood it even without my translation. That's the beauty of Italian sharing up to 60% of vocabulary with English. I'll say it, okay? Have you said it? Then, l'aneddoto. 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 So this one is a tricky one because anecdote. So in English we say anecdote. So the accent is on the do. It's also where you would normally put an Italian accent by instinct, but this one actually anticipates the accent to aneddoto. So you probably didn't get it right. L'aneddoto. So what do you do to get these words right? There is no real fix. The best way is to use, as you're learning a word, well, if you're learning it because you're hearing it, just copy the way in Italian as he's saying it, and you'll learn it right, obviously. So if you hear me say aneddoto, now you know how to pronounce it. But if you look it up, every dictionary has a way of telling you which syllable is stressed. They usually put an apostrophe before the syllable that they're stressing, so you would see visually. Also, a lot of online dictionaries these days have the pronunciation, which is surprisingly accurate for the individual words. L'aneddoto, the anecdote. Perfetto. Allora, dove siamo? Oops. So, in Italian, S is always Z. No. In Italian, whenever you have the S consonant, only one, there's two options. It either sounds S like in English. That's, for example, a beginning of words like Sara, same as English, like S, okay? Or, spaghetti with some consonants, it sounds the same as English. And it sounds Z, like English Z, when usually it's between vowels. Per esempio, rosa, rosa. We don't say rosa, say rosa. So that's a Z sound, like in English, say rose, don't we? Yeah, okay. And then it sounds Z or Z when it's before certain consonant. For example, this verb here, to quit something, in Italian it's pronounced smettere, smettere. So why is the S now sounding Z? That's because M is it's a vibrant sound, so it just makes the sound change the sound. Never worry about it, never mind about it. Per esempio, esatto. Buon esempio, Leslie. Per esempio. So that's S sound. All right, let's keep going. Where are we? Ooh, can you say this one? It means to get rich. Okay, I'll say it. Arricchirsi. Arricchirsi. Probably don't like this one. Arricchirsi. Here you have the problem of R. Because it's a double R, in Italian, if you are an Italian who has the R, which most Italians do, then you have to really roll it. It's arricchirsi. The second problem is the chi. Now, this one, you know that it's pronounced chi all the time, so we're not going to say chi because we're good with that. It's chi all the time. But the problem here is that it's not chi, it's actually a double k. So what do? Remember what I said before? We pick at the vowel before and we add a micropause. Hear it. Arricchirsi, arricchirsi, arricchirsi. Okay, so this one is a tricky one. And for R, again, I ask you to go and watch the 2 videos on R in Italian. You might actually fix it. It's fixed it for many people. Arricchirsi. Okay? How about this one? It means to curl things up. For example, like my nose, like today, it's really strange. And, hair, maybe. Okay? Have you said it? I'll say it. Arricciare. 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 Why is that? Arri is the same as before. This one in Italian is always cha. So no problem here. Cha. You know the word ciao? Of course you do. That's your template to remember that CIA is pronounced cha. But this one is not really cha, is cha. It's a stronger one, so it's the same thing. Arricciare, arricciare. So, arricciare. Perfetto. Okay, another tricky one. I mean, of course I picked difficult words because it's a lesson and it's an exercise. Okay. Allora, asciugare, 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 asciugare. That one is a tricky one, especially if you're a beginner. Allora, perché? Now this one we said it's chu. Well, we said it before, we said it's cha, so this one is obviously chu. But in Italian, the only way to spell sh, the sh sound, is by doing, this. So you take the ch sound and you put s before, and you end up with sh. There's no other way for Italian to spell sh. In English, you have a few ways, like, yeah, can't say it. Usually those two, mostly the second. But in Italian, that's the only way to say sh. So asciugare, asciugare. Okay, grazie. Okay, we got type of pasta. Benissimo, allora, gli agnolotti. Gli agnolotti. Now here we got the sound ye, which I don't have a good one, so don't quote me. Gli agnolotti. Agnolotti. So it's not agnolotti, it's not agno. Sometimes you might be tempted to say like something like that. It's not agno, it's gn. Gn is a very nasal sound, and you have to curl, arricciare your nose to say it. Agnolotti. And then you get the double T. So, gli agnolotti. Perfetto. Oh, here's another one with the sound that I don't like. Have a go. Benissimo. Allora, i migliori anni. I migliori anni. That means the best years. So, i migliori anni. Pay attention to the I. Can you hear they're all the same? Because Italian I never changes. Benissimo. This one might trick you. It's the laundry or laundromat. Doesn't have to be automated. While you think about that, I got a question. Where is it? You can't see it. Hold on. Well, okay. From Vanessa, that you still can't see. There you go. Okay. Is the G always silent like ye or migliori? No, it's not always silent, but in most cases it is. So you'll be only dealing with a few exceptions when it's pronounced gli. So it's, for example, glicerina. And a lot of scientific words, but you're not going to use them. I mean, maybe glicerina you might, but so consider it silent in that sense. It's silent in the sense that it creates a new sound. It's like GLI sounds y, which I don't have a good one, but it doesn't. You can't hear the g pretty much. Grazie, Amira. Where is it? This is the most helpful pronunciation video I've come across. Grazie, grazie. We do what we can. I want to give you practice, right? Allora, la lavanderia. La lavanderia. La lavanderia. Now this one is tricky because I'm sure that you didn't have problems with the single syllables, but here's something that you may forget to do. In Italian, most shops or places that end with the IA, they will break the diphthong. They will actually say lavanderia. So it's not going to be lavanderia, it's going to be lavanderia. Think about pizzeria, gelateria, and the ones that you do know. And this will also remind you to not mess up this one. Because why would you mess it up? Well, because I told you before that CIA sounds cha. So you might be tempted to say farmacia, but it's not right, it's farmacia. That is because it's a shop. So think of that. All the shops and they have the IA will pronounce it. So it's la lavanderia, la pizzeria, la farmacia. and so on. La frutteria, perfetto. Ok, ancora una, l'ultima. So this one means the dream in the drawer. So it's like your secret dream, the thing that you wish, that you want to do, but you haven't told anybody. I thought it'd be a nice phrase to teach you as well. Allora, have you said it? Perfetto, allora, il sogno nel cassetto. Ripeti, il sogno nel cassetto. Il sogno, one word, nel cassetto, second word. Technically there are no words, okay, forgive me. Il sogno nel cassetto. Il sogno nel cassetto. Cassetto, sogno as the ñ that we saw before, sogno, like agnolotti, good with that. E Amira, sì, it's such a beautiful phrase, isn't it? I love it. What's that? Cassetto. Cassetto. Two sets of double consonants. Italian loves double consonants. We have so many. Sometimes I find it really hard to even find an example that doesn't have a double. It's really difficult. Even the basic words that you know, like even the ones that you use in your language, like cappuccino, spaghetti, they all have double letters. Like zucchine, zucchini. Anyway, so we have a lot of double consonants in Italian. You want to be able to pronounce them. Il sogno nel cassetto. Cassetto. Benissimo. Allora, ragazzi, questo è tutto per oggi, nel senso di la lezione è finita. So the lesson is over. I hope you got enough practice. Yeah, I can't fit it in. Anyway. My mother used to say sogni d'oro. Sì, Vanessa, sogni d'oro. Sogni d'oro si usa molto in Italia. Sogni d'oro. In inglese diciamo sweet dreams. Right? So in Italian, dreams are not sweet, they are golden. Sogni d'oro. E if you're on this side of the world, probably I should say this word, sogni d'oro. Grazie mille ragazzi, pleasure to be with you. So once again, if you go to italymedisi.com/live, oops, you are going to find, multitasking is not my thing, is it? Okay, you're going to find what's coming up ahead. Usually I don't stuff up the time. Today I did have the wrong time on my calendar, but tomorrow we're doing a live dictation, so bring pen and paper tomorrow. Same time as today, but on time for me. And then on Wednesday we're doing a live shadowing. And because of the time, which is in the evening Europe time, it's going to be Thursday morning for Asia and Australia. And then on Thursday, which will be Friday for Australians and so on, we're going to do another live pronunciation, but I look forward to dictation tomorrow because nobody has ever done dictation on YouTube. And it's so useful. And then on Wednesday, the shadowing is going to be so much fun. Grazie mille ragazzi, un bacione a tutti, ci vediamo domani. Ciao ciao e buonanotte. Oops, no.